Hey, come check out a live taping of the John Keim Report. It's going to take place on Monday, November 18th at City Tap in Loudon 1 out in Ashburn, Virginia. Start time around 8 o'clock. It'll end at 9 p.m. In the show notes, you can find the Eventbrite invitation that you can RSVP to ensure that you get seats. It's free to show up. And if you can't find the invitation in the show notes, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link directly to you for you to sign up. You can find me at Bram, B-R-A-M, at empiremedia.com, A-M-P-I-R-E media.com. Bram at empiremedia.com, and we look forward to seeing you on the 18th at City Tap Loudon.
Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Got a good one for you today, starting with an interview with former Redskins running back Brian Mitchell. Never shy with his opinions. I wanted to talk running backs and what he thinks of the Adrian Peterson-Derrius Guice situation. What does Mitchell think should happen? What is it like being a young guy in a losing situation? Does Brian Mitchell think that this franchise will ever win? His answer surprised me a little bit. Then I have a few thoughts on Dwayne Haskins that I think you might want to hear. Finally, it's Chef Mel. I asked for questions for him a few weeks back. Now, a couple of them finally get answered. Before I get to Brian Mitchell, don't forget about my podcast taping party at City Tap in Ashburn on November 18th from 8 to 9 p.m. Chef Mel will be there as well, talking food and Redskins. Maybe a Victory Monday, maybe an early Therapy Thursday session. Either way, it should be fun. Come out and join me, Chef Mel, and Bram Weinstein and have some fun. And now, here's my conversation with Brian Mitchell. So now I'm bringing in one of my favorites, Brian Mitchell, host on Team 980, listen to his show every day, 1 to 4. The thing I always like about Brian, the reason I like having him on, because even if whether or not you agree or disagree with him, his opinions come from one place, a desire to succeed and to see the Redskins win. So whatever gets them there, that's what he wants to see, and that's his belief. So Brian, one thing I want to talk to you about, because we have Derrius Guice coming back. What do you think they should do at the running back position with Adrian Peterson and Derrius?
Well, when I look at Derrius Guice, I look at it a little different than I do with Dwayne Haskins. I believe Dwayne Haskins, you have to go out there and allow him to play now and figure it out. But when you look at Derrius Guice, he's coming off of injuries. He just come off injury. They rushed him back in the first game, and he's been out all this time. I think when you look at him, you want to take it a little slowly. You want to get him some plays definitely in the game against the Jets. But as you go, you increase that load. And by the time you get to the end of the season, you've seen Derrius Guice handle a whole football game. Adrian Peterson is a blessing to him and vice versa. I just feel that you can't rush him back because you don't know just yet how much you can take.
So, and I think that's a good point too. Do you think there's any merit to how Adrian has been running? Should he continue just because of that?
Well, I think you look at the way Adrian Peterson has been running, and you don't want to just say, hey, we're going to just stop running, because it's possible that you can have Adrian come back next year. Right. That's the whole thing about it. And I think when you look at Derrius hasn't proven that he can stay healthy. That's the whole thing about it. And now you don't want to just throw him out there and then go from 0 to 100, where he's going to be taking the mother load of things. I don't think that's necessary for him to do right now. You can bring him along slowly. And the fact that Adrian Peterson has been successful, that's also going to help Dwayne Haskins in the process.
Right. And that's where I want to get to, too. I think another factor, too, and I don't know if this is a big factor or not, but when you watch Adrian run, it's clear the desire that he still has and the passion for this game, the way he runs. How important is that for others to see that as you go down the stretch of a bad season?
Well, I think the guys have to understand, we always talk about team. But when they start looking at whether to bring you back or not bring you back, they look at your individual effort. Right. And Adrian Peterson, I think, proves that. That guy hasn't been around this long, hasn't had the success that he's had by being someone who doesn't go out there and believes in himself. And he works as hard as anybody out there. So when you look at a young guy like a Derrius Guice, you look at Chris Thompson, you got Bryce Love, who's going to be coming off an injury as well. Those guys can learn something from him. A guy in his 30s, 34 years old, still going out there putting forth that effort like that. You know, I look back in my career. I was 35 years old. I was still trying to do everything I possibly can because I wanted young guys to understand this thing is not handed to you. You know, it comes from hard work, and I think a lot of those guys have to understand that. You know, Derrius got drafted. I like the way he is. He likes to be out with people. He's a very energizing type guy. But you also have to understand that this is the NFL. This isn't college, and it doesn't come easy. It's going to be tough, but you know, you keep fighting through it and keep working, then good things can happen for you.
And you know, do you like the approach they've taken the last four games under Callahan?
I like the fact that they run the football, but I don't like the fact that they only wanted to run the football.
Right.
You know, I ask for the run all the time because I believe the run is important. I believe if you're passing the football and you can still run it, and when you get a lead on somebody, you can close the game out by running the ball effectively. But you can't get so hung up on run, and don't pass it. You got to throw the ball down the field. You have to threaten those guys to make sure that they understand you will do it. Because if you don't, all of a sudden you got 8 people, 9 people in the box, and you can't run the ball. Just like you look at the last game against Buffalo. They were very effective in the first half. In the second half, they couldn't get yardage because Buffalo did not believe that they would throw the ball down the field, and they never did.
They never did, and it's funny because they started crashing bringing the safeties up, and they were crashing hard backside. I'm like, there were opportunities either whether you could do a zone read with Dwayne or you could get McLaurin. Now you get him in a one-on-one situation or, you know, attack that middle of the field. And then it never did. And that's been my thinking too, that I love that they want to run the ball and create an identity. I think that's important, but it seems like it's at the expense of some other things. And maybe there's a better way to mix in and have a similar proportion of runs, but maybe mix it in differently.
You look at Joe Gibbs, okay? Joe Gibbs came to Washington as a pass guy, okay? Right. From Don Coryell's offense, they wanted to put the ball in there. He realized he had a team that could run the football effectively. He switched his gears, and he became a runner. But they never stopped throwing the ball down the field.
Right.
You know, you look at the success of Gary Clark, Ricky Sanders, and Art Monk. All three of those guys on the same team having hell of a yards. And then you still had 1,000-yard running backs. So you can do both of them. I think as we look at the new era of football, we think you got to throw the ball 100 times and don't run it. But when you look at the New England Patriots, the team that's had the most success over the last, 20 years, to be honest with you, when you look at them, when they need to run, they run. When they need to pass, they pass. But they don't forget about either one of the two. Some games they may not run the football because it's more conducive to pass the ball. And then vice versa, they'll do the other. But you have to still be able to do it. And that's why I believe when you got 4th and 1 or less and you can't run the ball, that's a hell of a problem right there to any team.
Absolutely. Now, switching gears a little bit, you got some young guys in this situation who have never encountered this level of losing, and maybe even some veterans. You had to go through this too. Early in your career, a lot of success here. You get to the last year of Pettibone, first year of Norv, and a lot of losing. How hard is that to handle, and what's the key to get through that as a team, as a player, as an organization?
You know, I think it's, as an individual, you have to understand that, you know, they're going to look at you and see how you handle that situation. You know, when everything's going good, everybody can show up and work. When things are going bad, is when your bosses want to see how's he going to react to this thing. So for me, I've always looked at the fact that, you know what, I want to be better the next day. I want people, when they're looking at the film, say, yeah, we lost that game, but that B. Mitch is so bringing it. Right. You know, I think I got my reputation in this town because no matter what, win, lose, or draw, I was going to try to give you my absolute best effort. And that's because of my upbringing. But when you look at the team, it's, you know, when a team is saying we're close and we're going to compete, you know, I think they make the way of dealing with that a little tougher on themselves. Right. You know, when you are in, like right now, this is not we're trying to win and we're trying to compete right now. We need to be seeing the young guys and finding out what people are going to do. And I think fans look at it differently. When you start telling people a certain thing, that's the way they're going to expect everything to happen. Right. You know, when you look at when you get down to the coaches, you want to keep pushing. You want to see the guys that are going to fight because you know what? The dam is going to break one time, and this team is going to start winning again. And the guys that quit when they were losing, you don't want them on your football team. The guys that kept fighting, kept coming into work and working as hard and wanting to be coached up, those are the guys you're going to want to keep around because when that thing started working out, you want those guys that have shown great character.
You think they'll start winning again?
I believe they will. I just think that it has to come to listen, it's going to come from the top where Dan's going to have to make a tough decision because the things that are happening in football right now on this team should not be. They should not be taking this long to get back to competing. We watch teams go from worst to first all the time. We'll get a little spike and then we drop right back down.
Right.
We need to get some consistency. And what I've always felt is that when I look at teams like the Ravens and I look at the Steelers and those teams, no matter what, they went with a team concept, not with a coach concept. And the problem that I've seen with this football team over the years, every time a coach comes in, we change our agenda. We change the way we do things. Okay? You look at the Steelers, they run that 3-4. Okay? They run a certain style of offense, and every coach that they hire will be of that ilk. Look at the Ravens, the exact same thing. But then the Ravens, now they get Lamar Jackson. They say, we have a super talent here. Let's adjust the offense to make his talent even better, but defensively they still do the same. We've been running the 3-4 since Shanahan rolled in here with the mindset that, it's going to make special teams better, and the Patriots do it. Did we have 3-4 personnel? No. Do we have 3-4 personnel now? No. But we're still running it. Why? Because somebody said it. But what we should do is get back to when we had the glory years and try to keep that type of personnel grouping going. And all of a sudden, it's not hard to come back. When you're going 3-4, 4-3, flipping up, doing all type of – now you got to find that type of personnel. If you had the same style all the time and have people fit into that, then you can have that consistency going.
And that's an organizational philosophy thing, too. My other problem with the 3-4, I feel like they haven't had the talent. And I haven't been so much against it as much as it is the people they're bringing in to play it. But it's also the coaches you have coaching it aren't always 3-4 guys. They're kind of a mix and all that. And I know, like in Pittsburgh, Dick LeBeau, he knew, and I talked to players who played for him that said he not only knew the 3-4, but he knew the rules of it. So he could there are rules off of everything, so you can adjust because the rules here too often. It's like you can teach the 3-4, but do you know all the rules off of it? And if you don't, and it's changing, it leads to confusion. So that's
it does.
Yeah, and so
I think ultimately, John, is just that when we look at, you talk about coaching the 3-4, but let's look at just coaching up the players. How many players have left here and went somewhere else and you go, damn, we had that under? We just look at it. The kid just went to Green Bay. Yeah, he's playing. He wasn't doing that here, And what is it? It's something about, listen, I know, I believe in motivation. I believe in the drive. I believe when people say certain things and you can get certain things from it, that's the way that you react. And I just feel that somewhere, somebody's not motivating these guys enough or getting into their head to make sure they understand this is life or death in the city. That's the way I look at it. You have an opportunity to put your family and put yourself in a position financially because you're playing a damn football game.
Right.
And a lot of guys don't take it that serious. I've noticed where guys want to have all the great things that come from football, but they're not putting in the great work.
Right.
And I think somewhere coaches got to get that message to them. And also, coaches got to lead by example. Hell, you couldn't outwork Joe Gibbs. You can't outwork Bill Belichick. And that is why I think those teams were so successful.
And I think that's a big key going forward, who they hire as the coach. Last topic is Dwayne Haskins. Now they're obviously going with him because the record is what it is. You've been in that situation, too, where Keith Schuler and Gus Frerotte had to play, even if John Freeze was a better quarterback at the time. What's that like for a veteran going down the stretch, knowing that you're playing the young kid, because obviously he's the future of this franchise, or a big part of the future, but you also want to win. And, is this guy that gives us the best chance, even if it's the right decision? What is that like for a vet?
Well, I think every one of those veterans on the team understand where they're at right now and understand that this team is a loss. This season is a lost season.
Right.
And they also understand that the team is going to start trying to get ready for the future. But it goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier. Adrian Peterson, the way he works right now. He doesn't look at the season and say it's over and he stops working. Other veterans have to understand this. In other businesses, you write all your stuff on a piece of paper. In the NFL, your resume is your film. So every time you step on the practice field or the football field, you have to realize that I'm not done. I don't want to be done, and I want to put the message out to the people that I can still get this done. Because in my mind, I think coaches much rather have a guy who's already been through it and understand the rigors of the NFL, who's also proven that they can be depended upon. Right. Then just find a young guy who You don't really know, but you think. You know, if a guy keeps working hard and having success, you want to keep him around. So the veterans still have something to play for. And I think, Dwayne Haskins, they understand this kid can play. And when you start listening to Urban Meyer talk about it, Urban Meyer believes he's a better passer than Burrow. I know Burrow is a new hot thing, but when Urban put those things out there, we need to start trying to dig into what Dwayne Haskins can do. Since he's gotten here, I think the whole thing came down to everything was like a knock. Well, he can't get the food, he can't this, he can't that, which I consider, I hate when those narratives get out there. Coach him up, put him out in situations and allow him a chance to go out there, at least give him a chance to fail. If you never allow him to fail and people keep thinking more negative stuff about him, he's failed before he ever gets started. So I'm happy that he's getting an opportunity. And I think a lot of older guys are going to pull behind because a lot of times those young guys can ignite a little bit more energy than the older guys do.
Sure, and it's funny you say that the failure. I think that Giants game may have been a eye-opener for him because that was some failure for him. And it comes from that. And the other thing, I agree with their decision to play him. I think you got to get him out there, even if he has a lot to learn. I think he needs to build a foundation. This will help him do that. I think the other thing to keep in mind for people, if Dwayne had, all the love for Burrow, and I'm an Ohio State guy. I love Joe Burrow. I think he's done a great at LSU. Tua's looked really good at Alabama. What would people be saying if Dwayne Haskins had gone back to Ohio State? He would be putting up the same numbers, and people would be salivating about wanting to draft him in April. So this gives him a chance to get ahead, and we'll see what happens. But at least it gives us something different to watch going forward and to talk about. We both need to talk about different things here, right? So anyway, Mitch, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it as always. Always enjoyed listening to you. Listen to Brian on Team 980, 1-4. Always going to give you a strong opinion. Thanks, Mitch.
All right, John. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
After this break, I'll be back with 4 thoughts, starting with what I saw in Dwayne Haskins' presser on Wednesday that I liked. Welcome back. Now it's time for 4 observations, including one on a receiver I want to see more of. Number 1, I liked what I saw and heard from Dwayne Haskins at the podium during his press conference Wednesday. There's a different body language that is emerging with Haskins, and you may recall me talking about this in the past. Veterans noticed, coaches noticed, agents that I spoke to who were at games definitely noticed. Lately, it's been much better. I know it shouldn't matter whether he's playing or not. If you want to be the leader at quarterback, you have to take a certain approach, and this is part of it. You need to sell to the veterans that you are the guy they can follow. If your body language is a certain way, that's a hard thing to accomplish. It was noticed. It's all part of playing quarterback in the NFL. Now, the other thing I constantly hear when talking about him with others at Redskins Park is this. He's young. He just turned 22. He had to learn how things needed to be done at an NFL level. This is why I say it would have been good for him to sit behind an Alex Smith type for a year. I know Smith is around, but he's hurt. And the other quarterbacks, Colt McCoy and Case Keenum, are journeyman types. They both work hard. In fact, I had one person tell me that Case Keenum prepares as well as anybody he's been around at that position. Those guys have put an awful lot into it. But when Dwayne Haskins sees them, I think what he sees are guys that have to work a certain way because they're just not as talented as he is. Haskins needed to see how a solid starter does it, someone who is a first-round pick and has lasted a while. Maybe Smith comes back next year. Who the heck knows? Anyway, what I liked is that Haskins said he knows that the veterans watch his every move, and he's right. He's saying the right things. He's projecting a different confidence. It's a good start for him, and it's been like this. My understanding is that a flip was almost switched. But I don't know about a flip was switched. That might be going too far, but that there was a change or an improvement, I should say, in the approach as of a couple weeks ago. I talked to Terry McLaurin about this, and his comment was that 3 or 4 weeks ago, he started preparing as if he was a starter. Now, you can say he should have been doing that all along. It's the part of the maturation process. But the good thing is he was doing it. And I think you saw a different level of confidence during the game, even though he only scored 9 points against Buffalo. I think you saw it before that game. I definitely saw it on the field. I think you saw it at the podium afterwards. And I think you definitely saw it on Wednesday. Number 2, when the games come, I'd like to see the Redskins put Haskins in more favorable spots. I'm fine with Bill Callahan wanting to run the ball more and staying committed to it. But it's also the way they're doing it is at the expense of a guy like Haskins. Why? Because their games are too predictable by being so tendency heavy. When Haskins is under center, for example, he's only attempted 9 passes out of 44 total. That can't be the split. When teams look at this team, they're so strong with the tendency with how many tight ends they have in the game. They have Tony Bergstrom in the game, etc. Haskins is capable of operating their quick game, and his size makes him well suited to do so. You do that from under center. But the mandate is to run the ball quite a bit, and it's also to run it quite a bit early. There's not really a chance of, hey, here's the game plan. It's like, this is what I want to do on this down and this down. Go watch the second half of the Buffalo game when Adrian Peterson was running the ball. The Bills oftentimes had 8 defenders in the box, and they were having the backside safeties or defenders crash hard on him down the line. Use the quick game. Take a shot. Throw some slants. It's all there. Don't become so run heavy on first and second down. And right now, I'd say it's about 70%. The Redskins do not have the personnel to win by being predictable. They get to third downs. They're relying on Haskins to make a play, and he's just not at that point where he can do that all the time. I also don't think they're going to open it up too much this week against the Jets. My understanding is that the play call list against Buffalo was rather thin as they only used plays that Haskins was comfortable with. And like I said, and I was told there was a lot of day one install stuff. That's fine. What they did is they put him in with plays that he's comfortable with. I don't know how much more they're going to add this week. Maybe they'll add a couple more, but I do think there are ways to make him more successful, even with the playbook the way it is right now. It's just a matter of mixing it up a little bit better and using some more of the quick game, taking a shot or two. He's only thrown 2 passes of 20 or more yards in the air. That's got to change. Number 3, one guy I'd like to see more of based on how the Redskins are playing right now is receiver Kelvin Harmon. He's been playing, so it's not like they haven't used him, but he's a guy who can help because of his physical style at the line. Paul Richardson, who also plays the Z where Harmon plays, is not as adept at getting off press man coverage, and that throws off the timing of plays. Richardson has been a guy that Haskins has been finding because teams are taking away Terry McLaurin, but I think what Harmon does, he doesn't get moved around off the line. He also can use his size to win on some of the slants in the quick game. That could be a big help. He's not Pierre Garçon at all, but I liked how they used him on the screen in the red zone against the Bills. He's a guy who can make strong runs in traffic because of his size. I'd like to see more of him out there. Number 4, I don't know how much Adrian Peterson and Derrius Guice will be used together, but I know that other teams have used 2 running backs like this quite a bit. Look at Cleveland last week with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That was very effective. I think Chubb's runs with Kareem Hunt in the game he was a lot more effective. Hunt's a very good blocker. I do think Guice could be effective in blocking at times for Peterson if that's what he must do. I also think he could be effective in the screen game and some of the RPOs with both these guys on the field. I think with Peterson running a bubble one way, Guice running a screen the other. They did use Wendell Smallwood and Peterson on the field for 2 plays together against Buffalo. I'd like to see a decent amount more of Guice and Peterson. I'll also be curious to see, do they split out Guice on some of the pass plays? I think you can start to regulate the defensive looks that you get by doing that. It's something they absolutely miss with Chris Thompson still sidelined, and we still don't know when Thompson will come back. Still dealing with that turf toe. Bill Callahan called him week to week, but you definitely miss what he adds. They miss what Vernon Davis has added because of the speed. They need somebody to get back out there because it's really thin at those spots and that's why getting a guy like Guice back will be important. I do believe Peterson is going to continue to start. Callahan is a big fan of his. I think with Guice, because he's only played 2 games here and he's gotten hurt in both games, I think they're going to want to ease him back in. But I also think this is a matter of Callahan likes the way Peterson runs, and it fits what he wants to do. Now, keep in mind, Guice can run pretty hard too, but Peterson has been carrying it. I don't think that's going to change a whole lot, at least initially. But they've got to find a way to get Guice involved. This is an offense that needs playmakers. Guice is potentially a playmaker. That's it for my thoughts. Now, after this break, Chef Mel answers some of your food questions, and he talks a little bit about what he does for some of the players. Welcome back. Now it's on to Chef Mel. Get him for all your catering and needs and all that. Highly recommend it. Anyways, Mel, I want before we get started I want to talk about what you do for some of the players here and the food you cook for them. But I do have 2 questions from readers, and I want to start off with that. So, at Big John 1906 wants to know.
Big John
1906. Turkey, first of all, fried or oven baked?
Oh man, you got to go fried, John. If you want to have a good, moist, flavorful turkey, you want to go fried. Like, I'm looking forward to frying a lot of turkeys this November coming up right now, and I really want to enjoy it.
What's for you the fried? What tips would you give him to make sure it comes out right?
Oh, make sure that that damn turkey is thawed out completely.
Yeah. Big troubles.
That's the number one. And then make sure you season it the way you want to and inject it and everything. Put all your flavors into it, and then season it after it comes out of the grease. You want to add a little bit of seasoning on top of it, and just let it stick on there for the flavor to just sit on top, and you good. Okay.
Now his other question is your best sleeper side dish for Thanksgiving.
My best sleeper. I don't know. That's a good question right there, John. I have to get back with you on that one.
Well, give me like what are some of your go-tos?
My go-to is gonna be always the mac and cheese and the sweet potatoes. And
I love the sweet potatoes.
Oh man, gotta have the sweet potatoes. And believe it or not, man, I like cranberry.
Do you?
Man, I love some cranberry sauce. Just like a little cranberry sauce, man, with the with the turkey and everything.
I agree with that. I'm a big fan.
For some reason why, like, it just around that time, it just goes with the holidays.
It does.
Like, I just gotta have that. It just makes it Thanksgiving.
It does. I agree with that. Okay, the second one at Virginia Statesman 7. Question about smoked wings, and he says that he loves smoked wings, but he has trouble with them. He said they end up drier than he'd like, so he wants to know he doesn't know if his temperature's off or what.
I can tell you right now, your temperature's off. Your temperature's off, and you got to sit here and just go back over it. And it's a lesson, man. You got to go back and just go back into your smoker and just keep on, testing out your timing of what you're doing wrong, and you'll be okay. So it come back out, really good next time, man. I believe in it. Just go back out there and get that smoker going and get that temperature right, and you have a nice, moist chicken wings.
And I don't know, like for you, when I do mine in the smoker, it takes them about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I sometimes had that I had to get used to was making sure the skin is crispy. That was the one thing, and I think
you want it to be crispy. You want to have the flavor crispy. You want to have all those different things. I just had a conversation with somebody about wings. I like when you want your wings to be crispy at all times. You know what? Like, I had some wings. I can't say the place it was, but it tastes like it was like broil baked, and it wasn't my go-to. So I love some chicken wings. But yeah, so my answer to you is to basically just watch your temperature, play with it a little bit. It's trial and error, and that's what happens. You're not always gonna make the best, wings or the best, food sometime with that. You just gotta go back out there and do it again.
And I think the other thing too with the smoker, because it can be, the temperature can kind of fluctuate a little bit.
Oh man, it can
to me, like monitoring it closely with the wings is a must. And what I'll do too is I rotate them a little bit throughout, so that way
pull them off early.
Pull them off early.
Put them off a little early. If you feel like they about that, put them off early.
I get the little. If I'm just to be careful, sometimes I would get the little thermometer, stick it in there, and get a couple.
And definitely time it too, John. You got to time your food, like especially when you're dealing with like different things. You want to make sure, like, all right, it took this time. Sometimes like you can't really like guess it, but you kind of gotta like just like, okay, put a time on it. It's going to take about an hour, 2 hours. And then you check it out every time.
Right, and that's what I do. And this last one is, do you have any tips or sauce suggestions, not buffalo style?
Oh man, it's all about the sauce. Well, man, with my sauces, man, I put like smoked paprika, like different ingredients in there just to bring some flavor, especially like in my barbecue sauce. I add seasonings to that too, so I definitely add some extra seasoning to it. So what you like to do, John?
I got my go-to for my kids that they love is the butter, garlic, lemon, but man. Also with
that's what you need right there.
The stuff you put on fish. I'm drawing a blank.
Hey, look, I'm filling the blank. Lemon pepper, no, not lemon pepper. Parsley.
No. The unbelievable.
We're gonna get back to it. John came up with a blank. Sometimes it happens like that. Hey, look, got caught on the audible right now.
It's the stuff that you'd put on fish, you put on shrimp, you put.
You got me thinking now, right now, John. I came up with a blank.
Old Bay. It's Old Bay. I can't believe I forgot the Old Bay.
Man.
This is what I'll be honest, Mel. This is what happens covering this team. You have those brain farts or whatever you want to call them. That was bad. That's the worst.
That was a bad one, man.
That was terrible. But I will say, it's the Old Bay. So what my go-to that the kids love is you put Old Bay on it.
With the lemon and garlic?
Not yet. You put Old Bay on it. Then you melt the butter, stick of butter with Old Bay and some lemon, and then you drizzle that on the wings, mix it up, put them on the grill, bring them back off, put on some more of the Old Bay, and then a little bit more of the sauce to drizzle on them. That's what the kids like. And then I have another one too that's just like a southern rub.
Hey,
but
I
that's
want some
the
of
one.
them wings, man.
Those are good. So, all right, now we got that. I can't believe, man, that was horrible. You guys listening just heard
that was bad right there, John.
Man,
you had my brain going, man.
I had my brain going. All right, but I wanted to ask you before we get out. You do a lot. You cook a lot for players, and one of the things is you talk a lot about cooking healthy for them. Well, first of all, how many players do you cook for here?
I have a variety of different guys, man. Guys come to me and here and there, whatever like that, and just want to eat healthier and want to stay injury prone. They don't want to trying to avoid injuries, and they want then they want to watch their weight as well. So it comes in a play of just eating healthy and just staying in shape.
And I'm going to get to more of this some in the later episode. But what are some of the healthy foods that you say this is what I cook for them, and like what are the things?
One of the things I try to always push the super greens on them. Super greens and like basically spinach, kale, those type of things that actually could benefit them. Blueberries, like these are just fruits and veggies, things that actually like people could benefit from. The thing is, the key to being healthy is just basically like putting things in your body that actually going to help you, not hurt you. I love fried chicken. I love all the starches and different things, but some of the things you don't need on a daily basis and stuff like that, especially if you're an athlete. You kind of want to just balance it out. Now, some guys could, they body different. They actually can stand the meat and potatoes. Some guys, they just want all veggies, and I don't blame them.
Right. And so, with how much? Because I know, like, the blueberries are great for inflammation.
Yeah.
And I eat a lot of those, too.
That's the thing, too. Like, so, like, if you say you do get injured, what could help you injure, like to get back on the field faster, is by what you eat. Helps with the inflammation and everything, get you back, right back on the field, just like that. What could get you set back a little bit is what you're eating.
Absolutely.
If you eat fried chicken or something like that, anything that could set off the inflammation that makes it worse, it could really be bad for you.
I look forward to the day when fried chicken
you
is
gotta be an athlete. You just want to just.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you, like, it can happen. You're like, man, why my legs swelling up? It's what you just ate.
Well, it is, and that's why, like, I eat a lot of the blueberries for the inflammation and shoulder issues, whatever. Man, so that's a big deal. But so you eat the kale and all that. Who's been your longest client out here?
Oh man, I've been to different clients, man, all the way around. But right now, I can't even say right now. I'm just stuck on that. Just a bunch of new guys.
Yeah, okay. All right. But I want to get in later episodes. I want to get into some more what you do for them. But for now, let's call it a day. Now I'm going to have to go back and feed my brain because I need some more help here. How's that?
Hey man, me too, John.
All right, Mel. Thanks, man.
Welcome.
That's all for now. Thank you to Brian Mitchell and Chef Mel for joining me. As always, thank you for listening. And don't forget about the November 18th podcast taping party at City Tap in Ashburn from 8 to 9 p.m. Come out and have some fun.
Hey, come check out a live taping of the John Keim Report. It's going to take place on Monday, November 18th at City Tap in Loudon 1 out in Ashburn, Virginia. Start time around 8 o'clock. It'll end at 9 p.m. In the show notes, you can find the Eventbrite invitation that you can RSVP to ensure that you get seats. It's free to show up. And if you can't find the invitation in the show notes, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link directly to you for you to sign up. You can find me at Bram, B-R-A-M, at ampiremedia.com, AMPIRE-media.com. Bram at ampiremedia.com. And we look forward to seeing you on the 18th at City Tap Loudon.